Hey, what's up, HandyHeretic? So I think I see what the problem is. So I want to show you something to check out, give it a shot, and see what you think of it. It's the middle finger fulcrum, and basically it just minimizes effort and makes everything that you do, well, as easy as possible. Because the stick moves with complete freedom, just like this. So you don't have to do very much to get movement out of the stick. You just kind of move the hand a little bit and it swivels and does some stuff for you. So like, oops. So a more practical demonstration, anyway, because of course you don't want the stick to dribble like that. And even with this, by not letting it dribble, I'm still using the middle finger fulcrum. It's still swiveling upward a little bit before I hit. And it's just, so, and also this doesn't require a rebound. The middle finger fulcrum does not require a rebound to be beneficial or advantageous. So, just because it still swivels, so I can still get this nice effortless feeling. You can really see it with the butt end of the stick there. So, yep. And there's like a similarity with finger control because I'm still just as relaxed. Whatever. So anyway, so check this out. It's got 4 different aspects to it that I can show you so that this will never fall apart or fail to work. And the first aspect is really just to get the hand looking correct first, so to speak, correct for this approach. So the hand has to look exactly like this. Big space in there, by the way. So yeah, so I'm not holding the stick up into the hand. It just open. It's a very loose, fingertips only kind of thing. And if I hold it up into the hand, then the stick is not going to move for me. I have to make the stick move. Every millimeter of movement that I want the stick to make is up to me. So the same problem happens when holding between the index and the thumb. Just to kind of mention that real quick. So if the index finger is involved, and I'm kind of jumping way ahead here, but then the stick is going to be completely, well, it's going to be unable to move so freely, and so you have to do all of the movement up and down compared to the middle finger fulcrum just letting the stick do a lot of work for you. So depending on how fast you can go is going to be how fast you can go with the stick. With nearly the same level of effort that it takes without the stick. Because the stick is so free to move. So anyway, so aspect number 2 is keep the fingertips of the middle, ring, and pinky fingers attached to the stick at all times, like touching the stick, like involved. Like these fingers are extremely important. They work together as a team, and they help with every single stick movement that you can possibly make. So whether it's the fingers doing all the work in finger control, or helping make wrist strokes, this helps with control. These fingers help with control and power and endurance. And the ability to do finger control, doubles. Yeah, they just help with everything you can possibly do. And so they have to always, all three of those fingers have to be involved at all times, especially the pinky. The pinky is the second strongest finger, so to use the analogy of a team again, if the pinky is not on the stick, if it's not involved, then it's like taking the second strongest team member out of the game and putting them on the bench for like no good reason at all. So yeah, it's important to keep that finger involved, especially so that it's always all three at all times. And you don't want to try to make the stick move exclusively from those fingers. You just want them to be there to help you out. And like gravity will tell you what you got to do to make the stick go straight up and down, no matter which way you got your hand turned. And of course, in this position, you can use the wrist. Those fingers will help out though. So if they're off the stick, it's more work. I'm exaggerating the feeling, but so yeah, it's easy to have a powerful hit with the wrist in this position with those fingers on the stick, even though this is not a powerful position for the wrist. And by the way, you don't want to play too much or too long in this position with the wrist because it can hurt the wrist. So, you know, if you're going to do a lot of work from the wrist, you know, be like this or even this. So anyway, yeah, so you can also kind of learn the feeling of what it feels like to play without the pinky, so that you can quickly and maybe immediately or instantly identify when the pinky comes off the stick, because sometimes it'll do that, especially if, you know, if you're still working on trying to keep it there, if it's becoming a problem for you to keep it there. But you can play for a long time without it and put the pinky back on, play for a long time with it on, you know, back and forth, off and on, off and on. So you can kind of get to know the difference and what it feels like when it's off, so that if it does come off, you'll know pretty much immediately. And also it sort of helps you understand just how important that finger really is. So, okay, moving on. This aspect, which is number 3, only applies to the middle finger fulcrum, but it's just to never use the index finger at all. So you can see that I'm not using the index finger at all, because if I were... So yeah, it doesn't mean that the index finger is off the stick. It's just basically, it's a dead finger, pretty much. Just don't use it at all. Don't try to use it. Don't intend to use that finger. And it just kind of just helps the middle finger fulcrum work. So, but there is one problem that can occur, and that the grip can fall apart when you stop using the index finger. So there's a way to prevent that. So this is the last aspect of this grip, and it's to relax the index finger, relax the thumb all the way so that it just rests right on the center of the stick. So, you know, don't let it be off center at all. And of course, you don't ever want to end up with this, but it doesn't look like you're not doing that, I don't think. The video is paused, but yeah, I think I could tell if you were, because I could see your left hand. But anyway, so yeah, let the thumb be completely relaxed, just like the index finger, believe it or not. And it should end up right on the center, but if it's not on center, you'll know, because it'll either be like below center and then it'll just come right off when you're completely relaxed, or if it's above center, the stick is not going to freely, you're not going to be able to, it's just going to be trapped in your hand, because the stick is being blocked by the thumb. It's just the same as putting the thumb right on top of the stick like that, which of course, you know, like no one does that. But so I'm going to take my ring finger and pinky and put them on top of the stick back there, and keep the thumb on above center, and just swivel the stick in the fulcrum, let it fall back down, and now the thumb is back on center. Now it's the only place where the thumb can be, so that the stick, it's the only way that the stick can swivel, if the thumb is on the center. If it's off center to the left a little bit, it's still a little bit off center a little bit, but it's a little bit sticky here too. So anyway, yeah, so just something to check out. The thumb's on center, index finger is completely relaxed, thumb is completely relaxed, the hand is open, and I didn't mean to say thumb and hand is open, but whatever, it just came out that way. Anyway, so yeah, when you got all this stuff in place and working right, you can just do this and it's never going to fall apart, and it's just going to work. And whatever your maximum possible speed is with your muscles, that's going to be effortless in feeling, at least. That's a lot less effort than... It's almost more difficult. I almost can't achieve it. Or index and thumb. Whoa. When I was little, this is exactly the same as this. When I was little, I had well, even through my teen years, I loved playing basketball recreationally. And when I was little, for some reason, I played around with bouncing the basketball really, really close to the ground. So like pretend this is the ground right here. And I would just take the ball and just bounce it as quickly as I could at the lowest possible height. This is exactly the same feeling. I know I said that this is exactly like bouncing a basketball, but that's all I'm doing here is the same thing. It's more like I'm like a fast twitch muscle in action there in the wrist, but I'm like, can't explain it. So, like twitchy, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, so that's the grip for the middle finger fulcrum. One thing that is very important to mention, though, is the optimal balance point of the stick. And my hand is on that right now. So now it's not, now it is. So you can find the precise location by just moving around on the stick and just looking for it, you know? And like, there's a place where there's like a very specific place on every stick model where it's just going to have the best balance. It's going to have the best feeling. So you don't have to do it like that. You can just keep changing where you are on the stick. And eventually you'll identify where it just has the best overall balance and feeling and whatever. And then when you find it, just memorize it. Don't make a big deal out of it in your mind, but like, you know, I think you'll find too that no matter which way you're holding onto the stick, it just has the best. It's the most comfortable, like, feeling when the stick is moving. That's the goal, is to find that. And you know, doesn't mean that you're incorrect if you're all the way at the back of the stick. It just means you're going to be doing a lot more work than you otherwise could be doing. You know, so here's the middle finger fulcrum moving the stick back here, and this is more work back here than it is right here. Yeah, it's almost impossible to do that thing. Compared to, well, even, I guess you get it. Okay, so anyway, yeah. So I'm going to revisit aspect number 3 and answer a possible question that you may have had, or if you didn't, then you might be wondering why you didn't ask or why you didn't think of it. But I said just never use the index finger, and I said it only applies to the middle finger fulcrum. Well, there are 3 different things I can mention that kind of require the index finger to be involved. It's like a perspective of allowing the index finger to get involved in the grip. And it's the only thing that changes, so I'm going to get this to be as best as I can possibly get it for the middle finger fulcrum, and then show what happens when I include the index finger. That's it. So the index finger goes from being like that to more like that, or really it's there. It was not quite so. So it's directly across the stick from the thumb on the exact opposite side. So, and it's also not a tight grip. And the first thing I'll show is using it for is quiet playing, or like gentle stuff, like, you know, where you need to be quiet and you want to maintain control, like moving around the kit, or just anytime you're going to play quietly, you want to let the index finger get involved because it's easier to control the stick this way for quiet stuff. Now, if I use the middle finger fulcrum, it gets a little bit louder or something, and it hits harder because now the stick is completely free to move, and it's just going to be a little bit more difficult to control. And I can exaggerate, so I can still hit pretty gently with this ridiculous stick height for quiet playing. But when I switch to the middle finger fulcrum, it becomes immediately obvious. So the same thing happens at this level. It's just much more difficult to tell. But the feeling is pretty big, I think. Well, at least relatively speaking. So if you're wondering how to know when to switch between the middle finger fulcrum and this index finger grip, I'm not going to call it index finger fulcrum because I don't sense a fulcrum here. It just, unless I really get the fingers off the stick and let the stick swivel between the index and thumb, you know, otherwise there's no fulcrum. And what fulcrum do I have here? Otherwise, other than there's a small fulcrum, or a small amount of movement, but it's nothing like the middle finger fulcrum. It just, you know, can't do that with the index finger. Can do some of it, a little bit, kind of, sort of. But I can't really get this continual balance. But anyway, knowing when to switch is just a matter of feeling, of how it feels. It's a goal of like trying to keep the level of effort at the bottom, the like a straight flat line of effort, like minimized. So like you can tell by just keeping the index finger involved and just go louder and louder and louder at whatever speed you want, and it has minimal effort here, and the effort goes up and up and up and up. So when I switch to the middle finger fulcrum at a place where I'm avoiding the effort, where I'm trying to prevent the effort from going up, I can just kind of feel it go up a tiny bit, and then I just switch. And going back down, it's the same thing. Maintain the middle finger fulcrum, and there's a point where the effort goes up. So you just include the index finger, and just like that, the effort gets minimized again. And here's, I'll try to explain how this feels. This feels pretty much identical in effort to this. So index finger down here, and then middle finger fulcrum like up here. So it's like, again, like I said, maintaining this flat level of effort so that it doesn't ever go up and then back down or anything, so that you don't have this bit of effort that goes up and sticks out. And it's an inconsistent feeling from everything else, you know, including the next thing that I'm going to show that requires the index finger control. So finger control, I feel, works best in this position, not with the stick pointed right at you, not with the American grip position, but in the middle. Right between where the stick is pointed straight at you, both sticks being parallel in both hands, that would be the French grip position. It's right in the middle between that and the American grip. So it's like, yes, nice and centered kind of. And this, for some reason, minimizes the effort for finger control for me. And I can just, it just feels the best for me. I don't know why. And what I'm doing for finger control is I'm doing this, and the index and thumb are just touching gently. So like, oops, I was not at the optimal balance point. I can feel it right away. I mean, to really drive the point home, I guess. I can still do finger control, but it's much more work. Jeez. Up here, it's like, I can't do it. I can a little bit, but at the optimal balance point, I'm not great at it, but I get my best at the optimal balance point. I guess that's another thing the optimal balance point does is it lets you get your best results, whatever level you're at. So yeah, the index finger is involved a little bit. Like it's kind of hovering between being completely involved like it is for this grip here or position and not involved at all anywhere else. So it's like hovering between those two. It's like somewhat relaxed, but you know, maybe that's why it's less effort. I don't know. And doubles require the index finger. Absolutely. So anytime you want to do a double stroke roll, that index finger has to be there. It's not a tight grip, still nice and relaxed, but then eventually the muscles get strong enough that so I'm not doing two bounces and just letting them bounce. I'm controlling the bounces. It's a better way to think of it is controlling the strokes. But on a bouncy surface, you're kind of controlling the bounces. And on a surface that has no rebound, see if I can do this without getting a a teeter-totter thing happening here. But yep, it's doing that little on the leg there. Let's see. But because there's rebound, the stick is bounced up into is bounced and ready for the second stroke, like kind of like immediately. Whereas with no rebound, I have to get the stick into position for the second stroke, which takes more time. So that's why with rebound you can go even faster with doubles, but you're not depending on rebound for speed because you should be able to do a fairly high speed with no rebound. But again, you can go even faster with rebound since the stick is bounced off of the surface and into position almost immediately for that second stroke. So it just becomes this thing of just this surface is like playing on a basketball. Do that again. This is the ProLogix pad, the Russ Miller pad. Just look for Russ Miller and ProLogix. You'll find it. It's the all-in-one, ALL, letter N, the number 1, just in case you want to know what this pad is. And since I'm talking about what I have here, I got Dave Weckels sticks. So yeah, I love these sticks. They're specifically designed to work optimally with everything I'm showing you here. And believe me, they really do. I spent a long time on the day that my first pair arrived. I spent maybe 45 minutes with my Vic Firth 5As. This was planned. I did this on purpose. So I didn't use these at first. My first time I did anything that day on my kit, spent like 45 minutes with the 5As, and then I switched to these. And man, the difference was huge. And the reason I did that was before I was able to play the kit, before I was able to make noise, I tested them out on my practice pad and on my legs and on the air, and I'm like, they're the same. What the heck? I was kind of frustrated. I'm like, well, just spent money on a new pair of sticks and they're the same. Well, okay, fine, great. So I got Dave Weckels sticks. I can put them in a drawer or something. But I thought, no, wait, I'm going to really put them to the test. I'm really going to compare them. And once I found that comparison by spending a long time, I mean, it's like, wow, man, try some different sticks. That's fun. You never know what you're going to find if you try different sticks. So anyway, just a little thing I just wanted to share with you since I thought, well, I'll continue talking about what I have and bring it to the sticks and tell that little story because I think it's kind of fun to go down that memory again and just go, wow, I couldn't believe the difference. It made these sticks are slightly forward weighted, and they make, yeah, like the ProMark 6 probably. I imagine there's a similarity, because I think those sticks came out after this was designed. This was designed over 20 years ago, so I don't know how long ProMark has had forward weighted sticks. But anyway, so this stick model makes 5As feel like they're much, much thinner and lighter up in the front area here, even though they're almost identical. And since I'm mentioning it, they're identical in length, 16 inches, and almost identical in diameter. This stick is 0.563 inches in diameter, and the Vic Firth 5A is 0.565 inches in diameter. The taper, as far as I can tell, is identical. I cannot, for the life of me, see any difference between the tapers in either a 5A from Vic Firth or this stick here. And the tip is identical too. So it's like this is a 5A, but just slightly thinner with the same taper. So it's like that's probably automatically putting more weight up there, which changes the balance point, the actual place where the stick is going to balance. It's just slightly different by like, I think it was 3 millimeters or something, 2.5. I measured it. I found it with a credit card. I spent a long time trying to get that sucker to balance so I could pinpoint exactly where it is. Anyway, so that was fun. All right. Yes. So, God, what was I talking about? The optimal balance point? What the heck was I talking about? Good grief. Anyway, so see, I was talking about how bouncy this sucker is, and let's see. Yes, I was talking about doubles, the double stroke roll. Okay, whew, that was close. That's the last time I take an exit off the freeway without knowing where the heck I'm going. All right, so so with doubles, it's 2 controlled strokes, and that's the end of that story. So I'm gonna move on now to just kind of covering the Molar Technique a little bit, because the Molar Technique, oh man, the Molar Technique makes beautiful use of the middle finger fulcrum. And to extend that, the middle finger fulcrum makes excellent use of the optimal balance point. So when you got all three of those suckers combined, it's like this, it's like, oh yeah, that's right. That's the stuff right there. So if you don't have the Molar Technique down yet, or if it's something that you've mastered with the current way that you're holding on to the sticks, well, with the first thing I said, well, it can be just a matter of learning the Molar Technique. But with the second thing, if you've already mastered the Molar Technique with the way you're holding on to the sticks now, you may have to relearn, kind of, well, to quote Yoda from Star Wars, you have to unlearn what you have learned. So, because it's a matter of continuing to use the middle finger fulcrum with the Molar Technique to get the full benefit of the Molar Technique, whether you're, doing something that requires the elbow to come out or not. But and a good way to ascertain whether you want the elbow to come out is just to keep it by your side no matter what you're doing, and after a while you'll recognize when it just gets, well, it's like recognizing when the effort level goes up. So it's like maintaining that minimal effort. Like I said, with the fingertip, or with the finger, the index finger involved in the grip for quiet playing and then going louder, you keeping the elbow at your side is like keeping the grip the same no matter what. And you can feel when the effort goes up. So then when the effort goes up, okay, I need to, yeah, there we go. Or slow stuff. That's much better. So yeah, there's that, and then I guess you could call this mini molar. So there are all sorts of levels, like you can. And it's just, this is like a really natural it's a very natural thing for the human body to just do this. And I know that from personal experience, because the day that I discovered there's something called the Molar Technique, well, it kind of floored me because I was already doing it. I just didn't know it. And I was already doing the middle finger fulcrum in the right hand. The left hand was well, it was very, 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 very different. There was no similarity to all this stuff whatsoever. It actually kind of hurt my elbow, so I was forced into improving my technique that way, but that's a story for another time. So yeah, the Molar Technique is just this thing that just kind of just has this thing of like a feeling like I could just do this all day. Ain't no big deal. So it's fun, you know, like it maximizes the amount of fun that I can have, because it's just taking the effort, as you know, it minimizes it all the way, and like I can just do whatever I want with like this complete focus on the music and what I'm doing, and like, you know, so yeah, and then like, you know, I can so like when I'm doing like maybe like a single stroke roll perhaps for like a little bit, and I want to like put something really, really fast in there for just a second, something that makes a sound that's something similar to, here we go, you know what I'm talking about, like I can't sing drum parts, but you know, something to that effect, I guess, but you know, back and forth, it's going to be a lot faster, but you know, this is half of it. You know, thinking about it way too much, and I'm forcing stuff to happen at this point, so I'll stop. But anyway, yeah, you know, all this stuff, and it's just, when I'm just playing on the kit, I'm not thinking about it, then stuff is a little easier for me, but I'm just trying to think of examples that like might be able to help you avoid like those times where you're going along and like something locks up for just a moment, and then like it falls apart, and then you have to like start over, like what was happening to you in that video. I pointed that way because obviously that's where my computer is, but so like, I don't know how I almost mispronounced the word computer there, but whatever. Anyway, so let's see. There are some things that you can do exercise-wise, maybe like mentally and physically, to help make the middle finger fulcrum more comfortable. You know, it's not just a matter of repetition, but you can also work on stuff like getting used to the idea of always giving the stick complete freedom to move. And you can do this as well. Just swivel the stick, so you just flick your hand backward a little bit and let the stick go. Or you can kind of, well, no, don't do that. But you can, I guess you can do that too with the ring finger. Just push it. But, you know, this is, and, you know, just kind of gets this, cements this idea of always giving the stick complete freedom to move, just like this does. And you can also exercise the middle finger, so get the stick into this position, and then use the middle finger to kind of like do that with the stick, or do that to the stick or whatever. So in slow motion, I'm just doing that. So, you know, do that enough times every day for a long time, and like you can really strengthen that middle finger quite a bit. You can also do finger control with just the middle finger. This also reminds me that Jojo Mayer has this exercise that he recommends for the fingers in his instructional video called Secret Weapons for the Modern Drummer. Forgive me if you've seen this already, but I had to show it since I don't know if you've seen it, so just since I thought of it. So, one finger at a time. This is a very short demonstration of it, just so you can get the idea, but I can't do it very well. But so the idea is just to do finger control, one finger at a time, to exercise each finger individually, and you do that enough times, like every day for a long time, you really push those muscles, and the fingers, or the team members, can be strengthened individually, and perhaps they can get stronger than they otherwise would if you were to exercise all of them at the same time every day. And then this is even, so then doing stuff with the fingers is even easier. But, like any muscle development thing, it's going to take time, effort, work. Got to push yourself, discipline, all that stuff. Then there's, there's this grip, which you can use for, just kind of, this is basically the core of the middle finger fulcrum. So you can do some exercising this way. Whatever you want to do to exercise, the core of it. And then you can also use this as a way to do the buzz roll. So the fingers are the middle, wow, the ring and the pinky fingers are, from here all the way out. So from being on the stick to all the way out. And the stick is still free to move, so it's still the middle finger fulcrum. And then you just kind of vibrate the stick, bounce it. It's a buzz. And then in both hands, you can see just how free the stick is to move. It's like, it's got that swivel still happening, right? So this makes, a nice smooth, effortless buzz roll possible. And just a little tip in case you haven't done a buzz roll yet, or if you're not sure how to get a good sounding one, even with another method of holding onto the stick, just start at the edge and stay there, or you can start at the edge, go to the center for like a type of like a build-up type of a sound, and then you can end there and do whatever you want to do from there. Just it's like a crescendo, or like a build-up, like it brings up the energy as you do your buzz roll closer and closer to the center, because out towards the edges on a snare drum you get like the softest, smoothest buzzing sound, and then it gets you can hear the individual bounces more and more and more and more until the center is like you can hear all of the bounces. And you can go from that to a double stroke roll. You could also, whatever comes to your mind. So anyway, enough about that. So from this I can show like just some they're like concept kind of things. The first is this air drumming with the hand looking like this, sort of. It's just an extended index finger. It's like your drumstick, basically. It's what it is for air drumming. And for me, when I hold my hand like this, compared to the way I used to do it, for some reason, I don't know what it is about it, but it makes the wrist movements even easier. I don't know why. I don't know. I don't get it. So it works, but I don't get it. So as long as it works. And I do table or edge of a table drumming or desk drumming this way as well. So when I do that, it changes my hand even more. It's more like that. I'm not sure why. It just does that to my whole hand. And I'm getting the index finger like as extended and as kind of almost as stiff as I can possibly get it. And similarly to the air drumming thing, the wrist stuff is as easy as it could possibly be. So I have to make sure that in my left hand, my index finger isn't more relaxed than the right, because I discovered that I have a tendency to really not be as aware of what my left hand is doing as my right, because I'm right-handed. So one day I was trying to do like this, and I was having a hard time with my left compared to my right, and I discovered this because my index finger in my left hand was more relaxed. So it was like it was looser or something. But if I extend it, I don't know, if I straighten it out, it's just something about doing that. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because when I do this, I'm like that with all the fingers. The thumb is up, I guess. Okay. I can be more relaxed and still do it. But I feel higher speed is possible when it's like that, kind of. So maybe it's the same thing. I'm not sure. Anyway, like I say, concept kind of things here. And also, Peter Erskine, if you don't know who he is yet, check him out. It's his last name is Erskin. He has a comical way of describing this this little grip approach. The way the hand looks is he's like he calls it the bad dog grip. Bad dog, oh, bad dog. And indeed, when the hand is doing something like that, you're pointing at something. It really, when you say like that to a dog, you don't like really stiffen your finger. Ugh, I mean, you might if you're angry, but like usually it's like, oh, bad dog. That's not a good thing, bad dog. And then the hand is more relaxed that way. And I'll get the stick in the hand, and I'll uncrooked. I'll straighten out the shot. Oops. Okay. Naughty dog, right? Naughty dog. The same thing. See? And I'm not doing anything to make my hand look that way. It's just this is how the middle finger fulcrum works when I'm holding the stick. This is how my hand looks when I'm holding the stick using the middle finger fulcrum. There we go. So then I just do air drumming that way, and it's not because of what Peter Erskine says, bad dog grip, bad dog, it's the same thing. But I sort of discovered the pointing the index finger while air drumming and table drumming kind of recently, so still a new thing for me. So I'm still kind of like, wow, what a great discovery. It's kind of helping my air drumming and table drumming, which also has helped my left hand. And part of it came from doing these And part of it came from doing these videos, which you can see on my channel. I've been doing for a little while now, but when I discovered telling people to just not use the index finger for the middle finger fulcrum, I thought, well, right, I should try that idea in my mind for my left hand, which made it even easier. So that's about the time when I started to really go, wait a minute. Oh yeah, instead of this. Closed, open. It's the same thing. Oh, you can also work on the Molar Technique this way too. You may have already done this air drumming, but if you haven't, well, give it a shot. But yeah, middle finger fulcrum, the hand for it, like the shape of the hand or whatever. I don't know, just for some reason, I don't know what causes it, but it's like, it makes the wrist movements even easier. I don't know why. I love it. So another thing that was kind of concept-oriented for me was in the left hand for a long time ago, when I was trying to figure out the mystery of how my hand was doing all this stuff naturally. I discovered this thing with the middle finger fulcrum in my left hand where it felt like I was pointing at everything I was playing. Sort of. Not quite so extreme like this, but I had this feeling in my left hand like, hey, I'm pointing at my snare drum right now when I'm doing 2 and 4 with my left hand, simulating my left hand right now. And then like toms and cymbals and whatever. And it was like, oh. And then after a while of doing that and kind of being obsessed over that and making sure it always felt that way, it got to a point where I could just be completely relaxed, and then the middle finger fulcrum started working a lot better. So just different things. These are like shower thought kind of things I'm throwing at you. But so, so what else could I say? I don't know. I guess that's all of it. Yeah. Okay. Yep. I'm thinking that I got it all. So cool. If you have any questions at all, doesn't matter what it is about this stuff that I just showed you, anything, just let me know. If there's something that I need to clarify, doesn't matter. I'll do whatever it takes to, help you out any further that I may need, or anything past this video, because I know what it's like, to go through what you're going through, and it's kind of frustrating, to say the least, I guess. But yeah. All right. So right. So have fun, man, and like I say, just check this out, give it a shot, see how it works for you, and yeah, let me know. So all right, man. Cool. Have fun. Catch you later.